What's up guys, it's me Football Pundit Kid and this is my Premier League underrated team of the season. Starting off in goal, I've gone with Jordan Pickford, simply because he's cut all those key errors out of his game, and without those errors he's a fantastic goalkeeper. Top 5 goalkeeper in the league with his feet, below like the really outstanding ones. Jordan Pickford is fantastic at England on international duty with England. He's a wonderful player. I think that he really now is fulfilling the raw potential we saw at Sunderland, and I think he's going under the radar because of the hype he had. The hype he had that he didn't live up to, but now he is performing at a very, very good level. I take him over. I think he's probably top 7 or 8 goalkeepers in the Premier League right now. And I don't think that opinion gets voiced enough, and I don't think he's appreciated enough. Moving on to the centre-backs, I've gone with Dan Burn because he has been revolutionised really at Newcastle, because I think primarily for Brighton he was a left wing back, as now for Newcastle he is the main centre-back. He is that dominating figure in defence. He is the key figure in that back line. He's the leader. I think that's probably his best trait in Newcastle. I think he understands what it means to play for the club. He's obviously local, he's a Geordie. I think he understands what they're trying to achieve. I think he's really willing to die with that shirt on, and I think that in itself is enough. If you take quality out of it, his desire to play, you can see every game he always wants to play. And every player wants to play, but there's a real drive when he plays, real character, and I think that suits his physical appearance as well. He's like nearly 7 foot, he's a giant, he's a beast. So I think he's going under the radar because he's playing in an okay backline, but I think he is really not getting enough credit for the job he's doing at the moment. Second centre-back, even though he's just coming through, I think he is the long-term second best centre-back. I've gone with Ibrahim Konate. Joel Matip has been fantastic this season. I think he's been a very good servant to the football club, but I think Konate's coming through now. I think he's got a few of the good key characteristics of a centre-back down. He's quick, he's physical, and he is on the ball very good. He can play the offside line well, especially with Van Dijk losing a yard of pace since his ACL. I think that's very crucial for Liverpool right now, because they need, with this high line, they need someone who can come back and he can make those recoveries, which Van Dijk's not going to get any faster. I think he was a bargain deal at 35 million, and I just don't hear him being talked about enough. Like, people are saying Matip's a fantastic centre-back and he's very underrated. You're only underrated if very few people think that you're very good. Everyone said Matip's underrated, which is kind of makes him not underrated anymore. So I don't think that Joel Matip is underrated. I think he's rated. I think he's a very good 8 out of 10 Premier League centre-back. But Konate might not be as good as Matip as of yet, but the potential's there and the credit certainly isn't. At left back, I've gone with Kyle Walker-Peters. Not his usual position. Again, a bit of my Southampton bias here. But I also think that Kyle Walker-Peters is when he's the second, he's one of 2 Southampton players, one of 2 or 3 that will always turn up. He's quick, and you feel whenever I'm watching him play, he's got such a great understanding of the game. He's quick, he's fast, he's strong, he can go forward, he can come back. And what makes him so good is at Southampton, the wingers are so inverted, which means you've got these 3 blocks of 2, 1, 2, 3, and then the fullbacks have to man the whole of those 2 wings. So he's basically playing as a right back and a right winger and a left back and a left winger. Another reason he makes the list, he's so versatile. I mean, against Man United, I think we're playing him at midfield in one stage of the game. Like, he can play anywhere and he'll do a solid job. The other full-back, yes, he's got injured, but I think he's done really well under Antonio Conte. I think he's one of those who have thrived under him. I think we're seeing the old version of himself. And that's Matt Doherty. Yes, he only played a few games this season, but the games he has played, I think he's been better than one of the more overrated players in Emerson Royale. I think he gets forward well. I think he definitely has to operate in a back three in order to work functionally with a team. I don't think you can use him as a back four. But Reguilon gets a lot of hype and Doherty doesn't, and I think Doherty is as good, if not a little bit better. Moving on to the midfield three now, and I'm going with a double pivot. First on those players. Should I go with Southampton bias first or second? I'll go for it in a minute. I'm going with Ruben Neves. He was getting a lot of hype about 2 or 3 seasons ago, but right now I feel like he's going under the radar because the stuff he does might not always make the highlight reel, but he dictates play so well. He moves the ball across the back so well. He moves the ball slowly if you need to. He plays the ball quickly if you need to. Any player can do that, but Ruben Neves can always do that at the right time. If they need to speed up, he can speed the game up. If they need to slow the tempo down, he can slow the tempo down. But I think if Neves was to go to a United and he wouldn't get the ball enough, I think he'd go really well. I think he'd thrive at United because United struggle to have a real pace setter in midfield. They've got kind of 2 box-to-box midfielders in McTominay and Fred, and Matic, who plays as a CDM from time to time. Matic and Fred, I'm going to use the term headless chickens because they just run around like a load of maniacs a lot of the time. As Neves could really, against Brentford, United dictated the play really well. They moved the ball, they almost played a bit of tiki-taka at times. And Neves would definitely help influence that. I think he'd thrive under Erik ten Hag simply because of the way he would move the ball. He plays at a lovely slow pace. I almost think the best, because he has so much time, it looks like he has it, but I think a lot of the time it's his movement that creates him that time. Ruben Neves, he can play a ball long, he can play a ball short. He's the ultimate dictator of the game, and I don't think that opinion gets voiced enough. Now for the Southampton bias. Number 2 on the list. I promise there'll be no more after this. I will stop in this video for Southampton bias. There'll be no more. Oriol Romeu. He is probably the hardest player in the Premier League, and I love him. He's rock solid. He looks it as well. He's got a shaved head, and he's always protecting that team in midfield because a lot of the time they do need it. I think he's always winning loose balls. If there's a 50-50 challenge, Romeu will win it 80% of the time. That doesn't really make sense, but he's a clever player. He can be reckless at times. But the main reason I love Oriol Romeu is he's not afraid to lead the press. Southampton usually are a pressing team, but very few of the players actually are willing to lead the press. The 2 strikers at the moment, Che Adams and Armando Broja, aren't those to lead a press. Shane Long and Nathan Tella do that excellently well, but as strikers, they're not the finished project. So this means that Oriol Romeu often triggers that from midfield, which forces the rest of the team to move up. This has given us more goals than I think we give the team credit for, and that's why Oriol Romeu makes his team. The final centre midfielder, was again one of those kind of gone from overrated to underrated, and that for me is Martin Odergaard. Real Madrid's academy starter at age like 15 or 16. He was their prodigy, and then he went on loan to the Netherlands for a bit, went to Real Sociedad. He went to Arsenal, and I thought after his loan spell, I thought he did okay. I didn't think he'd be worth chucking anything more than what Arsenal paid for him. I thought that was a good transfer at the time because it was a good player at a good price. I think they paid the right amount. Because with young players, you can easily play more than you need to, surely because you can think they have more upside than they actually do. But now looking back on it, 30 million for Martin Odegaard was a bargain. A few things I like about him: he's captain material, he's a leader, he runs the squad quite well. I feel like his composure is always very good. He always seems to, in those advanced areas, sometimes when the Arsenal are counter-attacking so quickly, he can make that last pass, he can make the final decision really well. So a lot of players can't. I think that's a skill which is undervalued in football. That ability to unlock that last pass. A lot of teams, I think, really struggle with it. That if you can just get that last pass in, you're going to score lots more goals. Because if you can move the ball in around the opponent's final third, that's great. But a lot of the time, especially when I'm watching Southampton, we just need to get that last ball to create a key opportunity. Martin Odegaard creates lots of key chances. He scores loads of goals, and I also think that he hasn't been appreciated for what he's done. Like 30 million is a bargain, and I don't hear enough people talking about it. I'm going to go to left wing now and Wilfried Zaha. The thing with Zaha is he consistently has been Crystal Palace's best player. I don't know why, but this season I don't think it's been highlighted enough, simply how good he's been. His creativity, his ability to cut inside, his ability to pass the ball. It's a main attribute that's underrated. He's your classic flair player who's easy on the eye, he's great to watch. But this season I think he's kept part of that element of his game, but he's become more efficient offensively. He's moving in behind so much better. His passing's fantastic, his dribbling's fantastic. He comes up when you need to, especially in the last minute against Southampton. Why am I a Southampton fan? Moving on. Right wing. I don't know whether he's underrated, but he is one of my favourite players. Riyad Mahrez. There's a case for Kulusevski here. I think he's done a good job at Tottenham. But I think it's easy to do a good job. Not easy, but it's not the most difficult thing in the world to do a good job when you've got Harry Kane and Son Heung-min next to you. He does very well in that situation, and rightly so. So the reason I've gone with Mahrez is if he was at any other team in the Premier League, apart from Liverpool, he would be consistently starting and most likely their best player. I have no doubt if you were to put Mahrez in an Arsenal side, for example, or even for a Tottenham side, I think he would be so unbelievable. I think his raw talent is fantastic, and I am so grateful that Leicester's scouting network brought this man into the Premier League for not even £1 million, which in football terms is nothing. So the reason I put Mahrez in there is season after season, consistently, he's not getting valued. Yes, he's talked about as a wonderful, fantastic player, but I genuinely think after Mo Salah, he is the best right winger in the Premier League. I think he is City's best winger, comfortably for me, and that's why he's there. And the final position up front, I've gone with Wout Weghorst. The reason I've gone with Wout Weghorst up front is because he's got a wonderful name. That's not the only reason he's there, but the impact he's made has been sublime. I think moving the ball into his feet, letting him show the quality he has with the ball at his feet, is paying dividends for Burnley, as previously they were trying too much to utilise his heading strengths. As now, we're really getting to see what he can do. His hold-up play is fantastic, his ability to head a ball is fantastic, and for a big man, his quality with the ball at his feet, I think, doesn't get enough credit. The way he can strike a ball, and he's always turned up for Burnley this season. He's been very good. He's a typical Burnley player, and he's replaced Chris Wood. He's much better than Chris Wood, but for Sean Dyche, he didn't suit the system as well as Chris Wood. Well, there's my Premier League team of this underrated team of the season. Let me know down below in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree? Think I've brain made of cheese and crackers? Please remember to like, share, subscribe. This week's subscriber shout out goes to Ollie Norman. Thanks for watching. Peace!